Designing responsive websites can be a very tedious task for UI designers, especially beginners. If you don't know how to use simple features, may not necessarily be simple, but features like auto layouts and constraints. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use these features, that is auto layouts and constraints, to design responsive websites in Figma. This is Learn with Ayodeji. Let's get started. Okay, so guys, we are here in Figma. Now, this is what we're going to be doing. Now, as we've said, we are going to be designing a responsive website. We have the demo here, what I've already done, which is the desktop version. Let me zoom in so we can see that. You can see the desktop version, the iPad, which is tablet version also, and then the mobile version. And that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to design this from scratch. When we design that from scratch, we're then going to um, do the replicates, that's the responsiveness to other um, versions of it. So now if you see this I can easily manipulate it and create what I want to do. So that's what I want us to do here. So first of all, let's design is basically for the newbies who would also learn to design. So we're going to be designing that landing page. So first of all, click on F, or you come up here, click on frame. I'm just picking out a desktop. You can see here we have all our frames here. I'm going to pick out a desktop frame. Now I'm going to use desktop. You can see we have other ones, but I'm going to pick desktop. I'm going to pick desktop. So let me move that down here. And yes, so basically we have our logo here. It's a, you can use any logo basically, but this is just a component. I already created the logo, so rather than doing it again, just do that. So we're going to then add a color to the background. Not naturally, if you are designing, you should use neutral colors until you are very good in using other colors. I'm going to be using a dark color, but it's related to purple. I'm going to be using this color. So if you want to change color, you can see fill right here. Click on this color here. Click on that icon, and then you will see the color palette. So if you want to pick a color, you can use the eyedropper tool, and that's what I'm going to do. Pick the eyedropper tool, and then I'll pick this color, and my background is filled. Beautiful. So the next thing to do is to create a layout grid. And how do you do that? To create a layout grid, you come here, you can see layout grid at the right hand panel, right? Layout grid, click on that plus sign, and click on the plus sign. You are going to come to this little icon right down here, click on that, and we're going to not be using grid for this project because we're using columns. And because it's a desktop, we're going to be using 12 counts of that. We're going to change that to 12. The margin we're going to be using, we want it to be close together. So we're going to be using something as like, let's say 160. So you can see what happens there. You can see what happens. So that's what we want. That's what we want. And then we leave the gutter like that and then stretch, and let's cancel that. So first of all, up top we have the header, and at the header you have the logo and the top navigations. So that's what we're going to be adding now. So we already have our logo right here. So we're going to drag that in, and we just put it right there. We make it align. That's why we have a margin. Your website will be in between that margin. So we have our logo right there. Beautiful, right? As simple as that. That's how to add logos to your desktop. So next, we're going to be creating the top navigation. So bring out your text type tool. You can see, you can click on T as I did, or come up top here. You can see the T right there, mean text. So you can just come and I want it to be here. So right there, I'll just write home rather, home. And this is top navigation. I don't want it to be as bold as this. So I just take that down to probably bold. It was black, so I'll take it down to bold. Or let's make it semi-bold. I think I like it like this. So I duplicate this. How do you duplicate? You can use Control D. The easy one, just use Control D. You can click and drag to the side. You can drag to the side. Then the next one should be products, right? Okay, spelling that wrong. Product. So now we have this, and I want it to be 4. But before that, what I'll usually do if I'm creating a top navigation is to select both of them. Just click and select both of them and add an auto layout. You can see right here, I'm going to be using auto layout a lot. So I'm going to be using auto layout a lot. You can see auto layout here. Just add an auto layout with the plus button. We've added an auto layout like that. So I want it to be centered, and the spacing should be around 10. You can see how it is changing here. So I want the spacing to be 10. Just a little padding horizontally. Just a little padding horizontally on 10 also, and we're good. So now the reason why this is very useful is that if I want to add more to more navigation, as I said, I wanted four. I just Control D, and it's giving me the same spacing, equal spacing, and they are well arranged on the same bottom line. You understand? So I'm going to be changing this to facts. If you're going to have questions, and this should be probably contact us, right? Contact. Okay, contact. Okay, sorry, pardon me for that. Contact. Yeah, contact. So I think I want more spacing. The spacing is too little. So what you can do is if you zoom in, you can see this line here showing 10. That's the space in between everything. I want to increase that space. Okay, to the right, make it around 30. Okay, 33 is good. I think I like it like that. So what we want to do is we want to move it to the uh margin, right? Want to move it to the margin, right? I want the T to touch the margin, not the okay. Good, good. So I'm going to nudge it a little with my keyboard key, and yeah, we're done. We're done with that. Basically, we're done. We're done. So the next thing is we call it the hero section. So you can see right here we have custom software development team, scale up your development team. So that's what we want right there. So easily you just come and use your type tool, and I'm going to type that out. Custom development software development team. Development team. I'm going to add software right there. Software. Okay, just pardon my clumsy typing. So custom software development team. So I want to increase this. So you come down here, you can see text. This is where I'm using Nonito. You can use any font you want. So I want to make that bold, right? Because it remembers what you've done. That's why it was still in semi-bold. You know, we use semi-bold for the top navigation, right? So it remembers the properties you've used. So I'm going to be changing it to bold, right? And then increase the font to about 50. I have all these things in my head because I've done it over time. A lot. Okay, so let's just make it around 53. So you can center align. You can see the top navigations here. Align horizontal centers. Beautiful. So we would normally have a subtext, a sub marketing message. So we want to reduce the size of that. Come here. So you can type it in or use your keyboard to nudge down. You can hold Alt key too to like nudge, like in like tens. I think that's good. Let's make that regular. So let me see the text that is there. Scale up your development team in weeks. So I'm going to be writing scale up your development team in weeks. Okay, so we center align that. Let's nudge that up a little. So that's nudged up to the point we want. I want to reduce the type. Let's make that 30. Okay, let's go up 32. So center align that again. Beautiful. So the next thing we're going to be creating, you see, it's really very easy if you practice and you do that. So I'm going to be creating these cards. They are feature cards, that's what they're called, just showing the features of probably this company, that company, features of that company. So I'm going to be creating these cards. Yeah, it's easy. So normally if you are new to design or you've done something before, you want to use rectangle tool to create these rectangles, but do not use that. I really advise you as you grow as a designer, you should use more frames because frames can do the work of a rectangle, and then to give you more opportunities to be able to manipulate. Yeah, frames manipulate. And when I'm also creating groups, I don't use groups. I rather use frames because of the opportunities, and because frames are more editable. It makes your work very good. Just use frames. Yeah. So I'm going to be showing you how we're going to do that. So we're going to come here to frame. We're going to be now. One thing about the grid, we have a 12-point grid, so we're creating 3 feature cards. So we're going to pick 12 divided by 3. That's 4. So we're going to be picking 4 columns, right? So from the first 4 like this, first 4, right? Yeah. So 4, 4, 4. So before that, let's add properties to this. We're going to add a fill. That'll give us a color, right? You can have that color, and then we are going to be adding some rounded corners. Let's see, about 20. 20. Yeah, I love that. So let us remove the grid for a while. So you can always remove the grid from here. You can see the layout grid is on. Okay, if the eyes is closed, that's off. Is on, is on. So let's put that off. So I want this color. Now for the eyedropper tool, instead of going here and doing it all over again, just click on eye on your keyboard basically, and then you have the eyedropper tool. So I want to pick the color of this, right? Okay, the wait, upgrade here of that. Yeah, beautiful, right? So pick that color, and I have done this what's it called? This icon I created myself, but then I don't want to do it all over again. So, or I could show you how I did it. So let me just copy that. I'm holding Alt to click and drag, so it's duplicating it for me. I just put it right into the frame, right? Put it right into the frame. Now you can see that it is like, let's say it's clipped out of the frame, right? That's because it's clipped out of the frame because let me just click on the frame and show you. You can see clip content, right? So it's going to clip the content. So we are going to off that, and then you can see it is out of the frame. So we can then centralize that. No, not everything. Come on, click on the icon. We centralize that. Yeah, we're looking good. So I said I was going to show you how I created the icon, right? So I did not. Okay, so let me copy this out. I'm using Alt, click and drag. So I'll recommend you use. I don't know if you can see this. I recommend you use a mobile mouse, wireless mouse. It's very easy, even if it's wired, rather than using the mouse pad. This is more handy. So to create this, I actually just copied this icon, this particular form icon. Let me copy that out. This form icon, I got it from Iconify. Iconify is a plugin for, you can see plugins here. You can see Iconify is a plugin for icons. So what I then did is I added an auto layout, Shift A. If you can't find the auto layout here, just use Shift A. You get the auto layout. So I then gave that auto layout a fill, and that field was this color, right? That field was this color. So I added some padding, and then I rounded the corners, and voila. I think I like this better. I'm going to be deleting the old one and I'm using the new one. I think I like it better. So let me delete this. Let me delete this and bring this right into the frame, and it's going to show because we already turned off clip content, right? So I want this to be centralized, and then we have that beauty. Okay, so I think what we're just going to do, show you this. You already know how to use the type tool, so you just type into it, but I'll just copy it right here because we did it already. So I just use Control C on my keyboard. So I will then scroll back down. You can use this to scroll down. I'm using my mouse to scroll. So click and then Control V to paste, and easily it pastes. So I want to centralize that. Centralize the individual guys. Centralize. Let me shift this down a little. And yes, so now that we've created the properties, we can now duplicate it. So I'll put on my layout grid again. I'm using Control Shift 4. I'm using a Windows. If you're using MacBook, I can't really remember what the shortcut is, or you can just Google it. Layout grid in Figma shortcut, and you can just easily come here, layout grid, just turn it on, and you have that. So I want to duplicate this. So Control D, duplicate, right? Oh, I just duplicate the whole frame. I'll just delete that. So I come right here and I just select on that particular frame I want to use. So I'm going to rename it so that we can have. Then you can come to the left hand side here. You can see the frame. Double click on that. So I'm going to name it feature card. Feature card, and copy. You can duplicate Control D, or by using Alt, click and drag. So you can see the next 4 columns. We're going to be using that. Yeah, so just Control D immediately, and it gives you that space and copies it, and you can see we have that all there. We are really moving. I don't even know we're going to be as fast as this. That's beautiful. Well, if this is too fast for you, because I can be pretty fast, you can slow it down or rewind, and yeah, I'm waiting for you. Okay, so select all of that, push it forward, push it up a little, select all of this. Okay, push it up a little, and I think we are looking good. Now, let me duplicate this out. Okay, first of all, this first is just it's just an element created with a pencil and rectangles, right? So I just put it there. So I'm going to be linking this file. I'm going to be linking this file in the comment section, or in the description rather. I'm going to link in the description so that you can follow along while you watch this. As I said that in the beginning, we are way far now. But yes, so you can follow along while you watch this. So please, you can go and just download it, and you can follow along. Just open it on your Figma. So I'm going to centralize that, and so this is just an illustration that I got from. So I'm just going to drag that in basically. So I just got this illustration from Niku 3D. I have it opened here in my Figma. Just go to the community. Go to the community right here. Don't want to go to the home page again, but I just did. So you can come to the community. You see the tab here. It's so you can see the community. Just come here and search for Niku 3D illustrations, and you see everything. You can see we have characters. We have characters you can use, and we have other elements you can use. There are lots, but you can use this if you'd like. So let us continue. So I'll just like to scale this down. Use K or come right here, click on the scale tool, and then click and scale down. Okay, we are looking good. So I'm going to put off my layout grid. And yes, this is a very simple what do you call it? A very simple landing page. So what I can do is to just make let's make it another color just to pop things. That's popped. I like it to be brighter because everything is just dark, and so I'll look for something purplish, pinkish. I don't know, in nature, and let's not make that too weird, and let's make it light, and yeah, I love that. Kind of. So that's looking good. I think I want to reduce the size. It looks too big for me. 1, 2. Okay. So we don't have to put out the layout grid again, and move this back to the end. Okay, we're not doing that. Select and move to the end. Okay, when that is done, we can now show you how. Now, you've been given the task to create a landing page, right? And now you want to create that for tablets and for iPhones. So what do you do? Naturally, what you did before you encountered this video was that you go back to frame, and then you then pick tablets and pick what is there. Then when you're done, you now go to phones, and then do that, and then design it all over again. That's not what you should do. You should be fast. You should save time. So what you should then do is, now if we now try to scale this down, basically try to scale it down. You can see it doesn't work. Let me zoom that in. It doesn't work. It just scatters everything. Okay. Let me see if this is well aligned. Alignment. When things are not well aligned, I get anxiety. Now they are well aligned. Love that. So I'll put off my layer grid. Okay, so now that you see this, what you should now know is, first of all, constraints. Now, if you come to the right hand panel, you can see that anything you put on a frame in Figma is usually constrained to the top left side. Usually constrained to the top left side. And that is what we've seen in this icon, where if we move it like this, it's always at the top left. You understand? And that's the same for every other element on this canvas, and that's not what we want, because this is not on the top left. This isn't in the top left, right? So with this in particular, you can see it's on the top left, but we want it to be at the top right. Right, you can see if I zoom that in, you can see top right. So that's what we want. So if I can scale this down, you can see it remains at the top right. If I move it to the right, it remains at the top right. You can see that. So beautiful. Now that is done. Now the next is these two elements, basically these two elements. So since they are just like the same, we're going to merge them together. So naturally, you'd want to use group, but I said you should use frame. But in this, I don't want us to use either of that. I want us to use auto layouts because auto layouts will help us to achieve what we're trying to do, and then an auto layout also creates a frame for it. So we can come right here. You can see we cannot find auto layout. Oh, we can find it. So if you cannot find it next time, just use Shift A and then it works. So you just use the auto layout right there. And now that is not all. So when you add an auto layout to it, what actually now makes it scalable, what makes it responsive is what we're about to do now. Now we have these two elements and we've added an auto layout. So now you can see here at the frame side, you can see hog and hog, horizontally and vertically. Now I want to change this horizontal to fixed width, right? Now when you've done that, that's first step. Then the next step is then you double click on the internal, the child elements, internal, the child elements. So you click on both of them. Now, if you click on one, then you hold shift and then you can click on the other one. Okay. You hold shift and you can click on the other one, just like that. So when you do that, we want to change this to fill container, right? Fill container. Now we made a mistake. Okay. So that has filled the container. And let me put that. Okay. So let us go back. So I missed a step and we're going to do that again. Okay, when we do not have a frame. Okay, beautiful. Thank God I made a mistake. Okay, so we add an auto layout, right? So we come here and what we fixed width, right? So now you come to constraints. That is where we forgot to do. That we forgot to do. You know, it's constrained to the top left, right? That's not what we want. Since in the middle, we want to do constraint to the left and right, right? Constraint to the left and right because we're going to be shrinking it. Now, if you want to do, you cannot use center because if you are shrinking it, it will, or we are reducing the frame, trying to change it to make it responsive. It's going to stay at the middle. That's not what we want. We want it to be responsive. So left and right. So when you've done that, you now go to the internal elements, click, then use shift, then you can click on the other child element, then you now want to use fill container. Fill container, when that is done, so I found the problem. It's just the text alignment. Now if you go down here, you don't want it to be in the middle, right? So just double click on that, double click, we are selecting the child element, so you can see it's aligned to the left, right? So we want it to be aligned to the center. So that's what the problem was, basically. Okay, so now that that is done, we can now test it out. Is it responsive? Now we just do that. You can see it's responsive. It is scaling according to what we have. So I think we have this is too big. Let's just reduce this and let's see if it scales better. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then want to take this back to the middle, and yes. Okay, so this down was also left aligned. So let's put that in the center, and now let's try it out. You can see it's going to scale properly. You can see beautiful. So we are scaling to iPad version. It's scaling. And scaling to the mobile is scaling. So when you're coming to this stage, you'd want to replace this with an hamburger. So we're going to be doing that too. So, but yeah, basically that is working. So this same step is what you're going to do for every other thing you want to be responsive, right? So we're going to do, we want this to be responsive also. You can see it is not yet responsive. It is just being clustered. Now, there's something I'm supposed to do, but I want deliberately to make that mistake. So I'll show you, so you can see. You learn from mistakes better. So first thing is that we select all of them, right? Select everything like that. What do? We add an auto layout. Add an auto layout. Now an auto layout is added. What's the next thing? You come here, change org to fixed width. It's just a simple step. Just probably memorize it. You get used to it. So now the next thing is to select all your internal components. And when you select all your internal components, what are you changing it to? You're changing this to fill container, and then you change this. Oh yeah, change that to fill container. So we missed one step again in the beginning. Oh DG. So you have to change this. So the major, the parents frame. You can see we have the parent frame, right? All these are internal frame. So the parent frame, we have to change that to not left, not top left. We want left and right, right? So we've done that. So let's check it out. It's going to work, but it's going to behave clumsy. You can see that Works. But you can see that this is not following it. These elements are staying in their position, and that's not what we want. You can see every other thing scales down, right? Every other thing scales down, right? So what we then do now is that we come here, click on this element, and now we want to constrain it to where the center. We'll do that for this also. We'll do that for this. Constrain it to the center. You can see how useful constraints and auto layouts are when you are designing them. You just can't. You can't. I have a video of auto layouts coming up soon. So you should definitely subscribe and like this video, subscribe, and then click the the bell icon to be notified every time I release a video so you don't miss that auto layout video. The full video on auto layouts and the power of auto layouts and what you can use it to do. So subscribe. So now when that is done, you can see I want one other thing is that you should have this in scale. Here you can see we have scale. That's what I already did. This so that when you are scaling it, it will scale also. So you can see scale. You want everything to be in scale. Scale. Okay, so that is that. So now let us try it out and see how it works. Beautiful. So it's responsive, it works. Now one thing is that one thing you cannot do is that as this one scales down, you want this one to push down also. So we're going to do that. What we are simply going to do is to select both of them. They already have auto layouts in them, so we can easily select each properties, right? Then add an auto layout to that. Add an auto layout to it. Now when you do that, you make this fixed width, right? When you make that fixed width, you make this left and right. When you've done that, you now go to the individual element, that's a child frame, each child. Click on both of them. You come here and change it from fixed to fill container. So now we can now scale that and it pushes down. You can see it pushes down when that pushes down. So you can see we have the beautiful. So as that is done, the last element we have here is this. So what I'll just advise you is that as you are designing, like for example, when you design, let me go back. When you design this, make sure it's constrained to the top left, this to the top right, this, make an auto layout and then constrain it and like that. So for those at the bottom, this can be done for elements at the bottom and elements and the footer. So you make it constrained center and then to the bottom. You can see we want that to constrain at the bottom and at the center. Same for this at the bottom and at the center. So when we do that, when you scale, it remains at the center and at the bottom. And then when you drag it down, it also remains there at the bottom and at the center. We've done that. So easily we can move into the iPad and other versions. So I'll just duplicate this. We have a new frame right there. So in that new frame, what I would normally do is, first of all, you want to scale it down, so you can just move it and just eyeball it, or I do not do that. So what I would just naturally do is come here to frame and come to, so I want to use iPad Pro 11 inches. So it scales down for me easily like that. You can see obviously we cannot use this navigation again, so we're going to be using the hamburger navigation. So I'll just delete that. I'll delete that and come, and I think I have the hamburger here. Just pick it from here. So if you don't have it in your file before, you can just iconify. You can get plugins from the community. Just search for iconify or pixels. So I'm going to paste that. Okay, just paste it right there. So I'll put down my layout grid, click on this. So I'll change this to tablet. Tablet. So put on my layout grid. You can see we have a lot of white spacing, right? So we want to reduce that. So for desktop, it is 12 pixels, but for tablets, you naturally use 8. Use 8, and then the margin should just go down to around 50 or 60 as you'd like it. So what I'll then do is to bring this and that, nudge it to the right. Oh, it's not nudging. Somebody help me. I'm not clicking on it, that's why. Nudge it to the right. right there, and this should also be there because that's where we wanted to constrain to. Okay, so you just pick these elements, hold Alt, click and drag like that. Oh my god, I'm loving this. So there's no line height, so I think we should add line height to this too. The line height is not enough, so just come here. You can see we have line height here, so we just increase that, drag it to the left. Okay, that's not what we want. So that should be. Let me change that back to auto. The line height, the line spacing is not working as I want. Line height is not working as I want. So use paragraph spacing. So that should work. So it does not work too. Because probably because they are mixed elements. I really don't know why it's not working, but the line height should work better. And probably spacing. No, we don't need that. Okay, so I'm going to be reducing this paragraph height. Did you also delete this place? Okay, so what I'll do is to reduce the size of this. I'll increase this, hold on Alt and increase this to the right like that. So that works. So increase this to the right like that. Increase this to the right like that. Okay, so when this is done, I think I like it like this. I'll just do is to I want this to, instead of having three like this, it will be just two clustered. I want one to be at the top and be leading, and then two on the under. So I just click and drag it down. And then because we already have auto layouts attached to them, I can just click on this parent frame, Control D, and it comes down. Like that, auto layout makes your work easy. So I just delete this first two out of the way, and then delete this at the center. And easily under 3 minutes, we have the iPad or the tablet version ready. So what do? Just create the other version, which is the mobile phone version. So just do this, change it to mobile or phone, change it to phone. Okay, so and if we've done that, we have to reduce this because it's not a phone frame yet. So you can go ahead and pick a phone frame, but I think I know the phone frame I would like to use. It's around 417, something of that nature. So what you should know is the lesser you go, the more linear your design looks. So the white spacing is too much, we have to reduce that. So the column count should now be probably 5 or 4. I'll be using 4. Then the margin I'll be using 20. We now have to adjust this from the top. Come here. You could probably reduce the size of your logo, right? When you are reaching this stage, you can use the scale tool. Click on K, scale that down, and bring this right here, put it here, right? Put that there. And then we'll reduce the size of this element. That's the text tool. 30 is too big, so we'll be using something around 40. Or I think I like that. And then we'll reduce this to like 24. We're looking good. And now what we want, as I said before, the smaller the frame, the more linear your design. So we're going to reduce this. We're going to increase this, make it more linear. Then change it back to V. Move tool. Increase that down, right? Increase that down and click on the old frame and then hold Alt and then stretch it. Let it accommodate. So we want it to be more linear. So I delete the one of this. Click on this and then Control D. I have a new element. So I think the white spacing in between is just too much. Let me just reduce that to around there. I think we're looking good. And basically we are done. So we just scale this down. Let's scale this down. Use K tool again. That's a scale tool. Hold Alt, scale it down for you. So I also want to scale this too. So then put that in the bottom. Okay, so just like that, we finished the landing page for three different um, frames. So that is how it is done. If UI UX design is something that you're interested in, you should definitely check out the design course by TechSpace Academy. This course teaches you all you need to know about UI UX design, from user research down to high fidelity prototyping. Now you can check the link in the description to check a preview of the course before you then commit to buying the course. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can also turn on the notification bell down there and to always get notification when I post new videos so that you don't miss them. So thank you. See you guys in the next one.